Hello family, welcome to another Narc Survivor live video. In this one, I'm going to be giving you the reason why the narcissist ghosted you. And no, it's not about new supply. Although they may have moved on to new supply. But why did they do that? Is it because the new supply is better than you? Because of course, as we know, that's exactly what they would want you to think. Or is it because you're simply not good enough? It's another thing that they want you to believe. No, that's actually not it at all. You see, you've been manipulated, gaslighted, brainwashed into thinking that it's you. When I can tell you that no one in their entire lives probably did even a fraction of what you've done for them. And they'll probably never find anyone else on your level ever again. They'll never find another chosen one, another empath. They're never going to find that. That is never going to happen. So here's the question. If you're really as great as I'm saying you are, and you're a chosen one, an empath, you've got all of these wonderful qualities, you've got all of these things going on, doesn't make any sense. Why would they ghost you? But I'm here to give you the answer to that question right now. And I can tell you that, believe it or not, the narcissist ghosted you because they knew that they weren't good enough for you. And yes, they knew this the entire time. I mean, that's why in the beginning they manipulated you, they gave you a false character, they lied, they future faked. That was the whole point of all of that. And that is also why they then moved to the devaluation phase. They began to devalue you because they began to reflect on the fact that they were not good enough for you. That's what caused them to stop love bombing you. The fact that they knew that they weren't good enough for you. Because I can tell you, any narcissistic person, a lot of them, they're so grandiose, they're so full of themselves. If they really think that they're the shit, they're the best thing since sliced bread, they're going to go all out and show you that. And they're not going to leave any stones unturned. They're going to show you just how great they are. They're going to pull out all the stops. They're going to go to extreme lengths. If they're really what they say they are, you're going to see it. You're going to know about it. So when you don't see it, when you don't know about it, there's a reason for that. And the reason is because they believe they're not good enough for you. That's really it. That is actually how it is. Because if a narcissist believes that they are good enough, and this could be in anything. It could be in sex, in money, in intelligent conversation, whatever it may be. If they believe that they are good enough for that, they are going to completely dominate the situation. And it may seem as though they're giving or sharing something with you. It's still all about them. It's all about them getting the validation. And they're going to get their validation in any way that they can. Whatever they think is going to work for them. So if they don't think that manipulating and love bombing you is going to get them the validation that they need, they're not going to do that anymore. And instead they will resort to devaluation. And if even the devaluation isn't working anymore, and you still have this belief and confidence in yourself, then they're not even going to bother doing that. They're just going to completely ghost you. It's whatever they think is going to work for them. Whatever they think is going to get them the validation that they need. And that's why the cycle runs in this specific order. Because their diamond supply, what they really want, their first choice is to love bomb you, so that you will then validate the false character and make them feel attractive and desirable. Which, as we know, they can typically only get that from either buying you stuff or getting you to validate them in conversation, if they are a cerebral narcissist, or if they're a somatic narcissist. The only way they're going to get that validation is through sex, through performing sexually. But if they know that they can't do that, if they know that that's not going to cut it, maybe you've had too many experiences already in terms of people buying you stuff, or maybe it's conversations, you may be very intelligent yourself, or even sexually. Maybe they think they can't please you, they can't satisfy you. Then they're going to stay out of that arena. They're not going to get involved. They're not going to put themselves in a situation where they could be humiliated and rejected, where you could get the chance to laugh at them. They're not going to give you that satisfaction. They're not going to do that at all. And why? It's because they believe that they are not good enough, despite what they may say to you. Because of course they'll try to spin it around and make it seem like there's something wrong with you, but it's not you. Remember, in the beginning, they were manipulating you, they were love bombing you, and then they changed the devaluation because they could see that their love bombing was not effective anymore. That's why. And that's really the only reason why it goes from love bombing to devaluation. The narcissist is going to do whatever they think is going to work, whatever they think is going to be most effective. But what they would rather do is love bomb you. I mean, that's why it's what they do at the beginning. And in fact, as soon as they start devaluing you, then they're off love bombing someone else, because that is what they would prefer to do. But if they can't love bomb you anymore, if you're no longer falling for it, or if they can't please you, they can't satisfy you, if they're not good enough, they're going to stop doing it. They're not going to keep doing something if it's not working for them. They're not going to waste their time. So they ghost you when you stop believing in their lies, when you stop validating the false character, when you choose to live in reality instead of sharing their delusion. Because that's the only way that they're ever really going to remain around you, is if you do share their delusion, if you do choose to exist in their fantasy world. But let's be real, even when you do that, you're not really happy. Because when you're sharing this fantasy, your happiness isn't coming from within. It's coming from this external alternate reality that doesn't even exist. It has no basis in reality. And that is why even when they're manipulating and love bombing you at the beginning, you still feel like something's missing. You feel like something's wrong. You feel like something's not right because it isn't even real. They're not grounded in reality. They have to pull you into this fake world. They have to impose a false character onto you so that you can even be around them. Because otherwise you would argue, you would fight, there would constantly be problems. But at some point you begin to wake up. You begin to realize what you're actually dealing with, and that is when they begin to devalue you. They gaslight you. They make you think that you need to do more. You need to be something else. You need to be better. And when you stop believing in that, that's when they completely ghost you. But that's not really what they want to do. Because that's like their coal level supply. Their diamond supply is when they can love bomb you. And sure, it may look like they're off with this new supply, they're love bombing them now. They don't need to love bomb you. That's not going to be the same. That's not going to be anywhere near what it was like with you. Because you are an empath. You're a chosen one. You're highly sensitive. You're highly receptive. Highly satisfied with whatever a person does for you, whatever they may buy for you, or even if it's something sexual. You're highly receptive, you're highly sensitive to that. So of course, if they buy you a gift, or if you're listening to them talk about themselves and their achievements, or if you're involved in them sexually, that is such a potent source of supply to the narcissist. Unlike something that they could find anywhere else. Because most people are not like that. Most people are not going to give them that emotional response, that high grade fuel. They're not going to find that anywhere else. And this is why, on average, a narcissist will return to their victim 7 times before it's finally all over. Yes, they typically come back with a hoover, even if they have moved on to someone else, because then they realize it's very different. They're not getting that type of response. They're not getting that grade of fuel. And they start to miss that. Because it's like with you, when they could elicit a reaction out of you, when they could please you and satisfy you and make you happy, even if it was just this fake happiness, to them it made it seem real in that moment. And when they could do that, it was such a spike in their energy. It inflated them. It fed their egos. And it shot up like a roller coaster. When they get with the new supply and the love bomb in them, it's kind of like, well, with you, it was like a roller coaster. They climbed up, and then when they devalued you, they went down a little bit, and then towards the end of the discards, By that point, it was all the way at the bottom. And then that's why they ghosted you. And then when they get with the new source, it just comes up a little bit. So it's better than what it was at the end with you, but it's nowhere near what it was like when they were love bombing you. So then they do begin to think back. They know the difference between bad, good, and incredible. They do know the difference. And they see that type of fuel that you're giving out, it's just not the same anywhere else. No one can do it like you do. No one else can give that to them. And this is just how it is. It's all in our energy. It's in our responses, our reactions. Most of it's in our eyes. That's where the energy is transferred. It's in our facial expressions. When they can see when we're happy, we're smiling. When we're sad, we're frowning. When we're excited, when we're angry. Maybe some of you may even cry at times. But with other sources, they don't get that full range of emotions. They don't get that emotional depth. And I think that's what it is a lot of times with my videos. That's what keeps people coming back. It's that they can see through my work. It's not just the words and what I talk about, but it's how I say it. You can tell that I am passionate about it, that it's authentic, and that it means something to me. You can tell that it's real. And that's really what people want. They want something real. They want something authentic. And that's really what they're looking for, is something authentic and real. Something innocent and natural. Pure and untouched. Uncontaminated. The problem is, they got with you and they contaminated you. They made you impure. And that's what affected the potency of your fuel. In the beginning, it was high grade. But as time went by, they began to deplete you. And then it was no longer as powerful. It was no longer as effective. And that is why they eventually ghosted you. And they went off and found someone else. But here's the thing. Finding someone who is pure and uncontaminated in this world, someone innocent, that is extremely rare. That is extremely rare. Because most people are being indoctrinated by television, music, movies, social media, maybe their peer group, their family, or whoever it may be. They're not innocent, they're not pure, they're not thinking for themselves. They're not playful, curious, like a child who has never been exposed to anything negative, anything that makes them think that the world is not safe. anything that might otherwise put them in a state of fear. And yes, things may happen to you, but unlike them, you come right back. You return to your pure and innocent state. They do not. They were contaminated a long time ago, and they've stayed that way ever since. But when you're around someone who is truly innocent and pure, such as another empath, I mean, even for us, I've experienced it myself, and it is a very powerful and uplifting experience, because you know straight away this person, they're not being indoctrinated. Even if they are, they're just not even susceptible to it. They're not absorbing it. It's not affecting them. It's not changing the way that they might otherwise behave. It's not doing anything like that. And they're still able to be themselves. They're still innocent. They're still pure, uncontaminated. They're unaffected, unmoved, unchanged. And that's what makes that experience so powerful, because then they're able to connect. They're able to be intimate with you. And you're able to share this emotional depth with them. Of course, narcissists aren't able to do that. But as long as they can elicit an emotional reaction from the empath, because it's that contrast, if they can get you to do the opposite of what you would normally do, that's what makes it so powerful. So normally you're just walking around the world on this earth, and you're not overthinking anything, you're not overanalyzing, you're just being. You're not doing, you're just being, living, experiencing. And then when they can pull you out of that state and elicit an emotional reaction out of you, it's so powerful for them, and it's so addictive, because that's not how you normally are as a pure and innocent empath or chosen one. And I know many of you who are watching this right now, you will be able to identify with that, because that's what makes it so painful. It's how they change us. They take us from one state to another. They alter our condition, because otherwise we will just exist in such a pure and uncontaminated state. And I know that's exactly how I am as a super empath and a chosen one. When I'm out in the world, I'm highly sensitive to everything. To everything I see, everything I hear, everything I smell, everything I touch and taste. I'm highly sensitive to it all. And I notice everything, I pay attention to detail. When I go out into nature, I notice the colors of the trees, of the grass. I pay close attention to the birds. Maybe I see some cats, the colors of them, the sounds. And it affects me on a very deep level in a positive way. Because this is just how it is to be an empath, a chosen one, a highly sensitive person. Of course, we would be sensitive to the world, because we came here with a gift and with a purpose to uplift everyone and raise the vibrations. And of course, when you're vibrating at a very high level, you will be highly sensitive. Narcissists are emotionally dead. They're very unsensitive. They don't experience things on a deep level like we do because they are low vibrational. They're shame-based. But this is why they ghost you, because they've contaminated you. They've ruined, polluted your supply, and it's no longer effective. So then they run off, and then they'll come back later on in the hopes that you have recharged, just so they can drain you again. And this is why typically they will try to return to the love bombing again. They're not going to come back just to devalue you or just to cause problems for you. They will keep trying to go back to the love bombing, because although you may not even realize it, but it's so powerful. Just that rush of adrenaline that it gives them when they love bomb you and they get your emotions, your reactions, your validation. I mean, I can't even describe it in words, the effect that it has on them. It's unlike anything else that they have ever experienced in their lives. And they feel like it's something they've been missing forever. They've never had anything like this before. And that is why they typically get addicted to it. But because at some point they realize that they're not good enough for you, they have to devalue you. And they don't really want to, but it triggers them when they realize that your qualities are yours and not theirs. They realize that all of these good things that you have, it's you and not them. So then they turn against you, even though they don't really want to. I mean, they wish that they could just remain around you and be good enough for you. They do. That's why you will see them bringing back the false character. That's the whole point. Because they wish that they could be around you and be good enough for you. That's why they keep bringing it back. That's why they keep trying to impress you. Because they want to be good enough for you. But typically they will try to impress you or make you envious or jealous of something from a distance. They don't want to get too close at a certain point, because then it's more believable. It's more believable for them to be giving something to someone else rather than to you, and you being the recipient of it, because then you're in a position where you can judge. And they don't want you to be in that position, because they already believe that they're not good enough. And it's like, what if they can't make you happy? What if they can't satisfy you? And then you get the last laugh. You've got one over on them. You can reject them. You can humiliate them. And they don't want to give you that satisfaction. So that is why, following the discard, they go off the new supply. They flaunt them in front of you, maybe on social media, because in a way they're still trying to impress you, and they want you to think that they are good enough, they do have something of value that they are sharing with someone else, because it's much easier for them to do that when you are not the direct recipient of it, when you're just an observer of it, and you assume that it must be true, it must be correct, because this other person seems to be happy with them. So how can it be wrong? When in actuality, they've just fallen for the false character, just as you did in the beginning. That's all that it is. And they know that they can't fool you with that anymore. So they go off and fool someone else, and they also use that as a punishment for you. So that's what they're doing, and this is why they ghost you. But yeah, they're never going to find that supply that they got from you anywhere else. It's not going to be at that level. It's not going to be high grade. What you have is very unique. And this is how they were able to manipulate you in the beginning. They were able to manipulate you because you're innocent, because you're naive. I mean, here's the thing, they can't really manipulate people who are already contaminated. That's not going to work. If people are broken and damaged, they're going to see it a mile away. They're going to know that they're being manipulated. And in actuality, people who are broken and damaged, they're going to be highly paranoid. They're going to assume that they're being manipulated, even when they're not. They're going to assume that anyway. But you, because you're so pure, innocent, uncontaminated, and at times maybe even naive, that's what made you so susceptible to the manipulation. That's how they got you. Because if you weren't, and if you realized what was going on, if you were maybe exposed to this so many times already, to the point where you can no longer operate in a natural state, then you wouldn't have been fooled. You would have seen it a mile away. But as I said, that is very rare. What we have as chosen ones, as empaths, where we are pure, we are natural, we are uncontaminated. Yes, we may have been exposed to certain things, but it doesn't have that much of an effect on us to where we refrain, to where we pull away. And this is why we just fall for it so many times. We're always the fool. We've been fooled so many times. Why? Because we are pure, we are innocent, and at times we are naive. Which isn't always a curse. In many ways, it is a blessing in disguise, because we are also highly sensitive. We can experience things at a very deep level. We have emotional depth. And people who tend to be more manipulative, deceptive, they're liars, they're cheaters, deceivers, future fakers, those types of people, they lack emotional depth. They're not highly sensitive. They don't experience things at a deep level. They don't experience deep satisfaction and fulfillment like we do. And that's why they're so miserable. That's why they are the ones who manipulate and deceive, and they try to get one over on us, because we've got what they want. They want what we have. And what we have is this gift as empaths, as chosen ones, this emotional depth, this high sensitivity. Yes, they want to experience deep feelings, deep satisfaction, just as we do. But they can't, and this is why they can't be alone. This is why they need so many people so many sources of supply, so many enablers and flying monkeys, because they just can't be by themselves and experience deep emotion, deep feeling, deep pleasure with life. They can't do that. And yet they come around us because they want to experience that, and they know that the best chance they've got is by being around us, because they can't find that anywhere else. But they can also be very cautious at a certain point and tend to keep their distance, because getting close to us puts us in a position where we get to judge them. And it has the potential to make them feel inferior to us if they fail to satisfy or please us. And that's not what they want. They don't want to be put in a position where they're going to feel like they're not good enough. They're trying to avoid that at all costs. They're looking for the validation. And yes, while they most definitely can have the opportunity to receive the greatest supply of validation they're going to get from anywhere, from us, it can also have the opposite effect as well if they do fail to satisfy us. So that is why they may just go off with a new supply, ghost you, and settle for what really is low-grade supply. It's kind of like, you know, you've got like one of those extreme roller coasters at an amusement park, and you get on there for the first time, and you might scream, you might close your eyes, you might be like, yeah. In contrast to maybe like a kid's ride, and you get on there, maybe you're on it with your children, it's kind of boring for you, but you don't want to ruin the mood, so you don't want to ruin the fun for the kids, so you're like, yeah, woo. It's kind of like that. That's what the contrast is like between you as the innocent, pure, chosen one or empath, and just any other source of supply. That's the difference, and that is why they may come back if they believe that they can. I mean, I can't even put it into words, but the supply that you have, they're not going to find that anywhere else. They're never going to get that again. They're never going to find someone else at your level. So let's take a moment to be grateful for these wonderful qualities that we have. This high sensitivity, this ability to experience emotional depth. I know it's at times it may seem like a curse when you're around the wrong people, when you're around narcissists who manipulate and exploit it. They use it for bad, for evil. But when you're around another empath, someone who knows how to use your gift to their advantage and to your advantage at the same time, when you're around someone like that, it can be an incredible feeling. It really can. And the best way to describe that, it's kind of like, you know, we have these nerve endings in our bodies, and it's like you might be ticklish on your neck because there's a lot of nerve endings here, for an example. So if someone tickles you there, it's going to be a very strong sensation, and it may be highly pleasurable. But at the same time, if someone pinches you there, it's going to cause you a lot of pain. And this is what it's like with our high sensitivity, with our emotional depth. Yes, we may experience low lows, but that means we can also experience high highs. Not like that for narcissists. They experience far lower lows than we do. That's how they rage. They experience depression, anxiety. But they don't really experience positive emotions at all. They make it look like they do, but they really don't. I mean, you've got to think, if they did, then why would they be so manipulative and abusive? There would be no reason for that to begin with. And this is why they come around you, to elevate themselves at your expense. Because you have what they seek. You have that innocence about you. You have that ability to experience positive emotions, and they want to be around that. That's why they love bomb you in the beginning. Because your positive emotions, when you validate the false character, that is such a potent source of supply for them. And yet then they have to settle for your pain, your suffering, which is not what they really want. That's their coal level of supply. What they really want is the diamond supply. The problem is they're emotionally bankrupt. They can't afford to sustain that level of supply. If they could, believe me, they would. But they get insecure, they feel inferior, they feel like they're not good enough, and then they've got to pull back, then they've got to devalue you. And it's sad when you think about it, because yeah, the truth is that's not what they really want. And you can see that by the amount of times they try to bring back the false character and manipulate you again. It's telling you what they really want. The problem is they feel insecure, they feel like they're not good enough. They don't want to put themselves in a position where you get the last laugh, where you get to humiliate them. Because, as many of you have experienced, the reality is they're not good enough. Narcissists aren't good enough. And that's the whole point of their arrogance, their entitlement. They show an exaggerated sense of their abilities and importance. It's exaggerated. Because deep down, they are inadequate. This is why they're leeches, they're parasites, they're bottom feeders. They lack the skills, the qualities, the capabilities. They've manipulated people their entire lives, so they've never had to do the work. They've just relied on their manipulation. But that can only get them so far, especially with an empath, the chosen one. But this is just how it goes. They want to have the best, but the reality is they're not even good enough for it. It's like they apply for a job in accounting and they haven't even got the qualifications, they haven't got any experience, but they want the money, they want the payout. So they stay in that job, and then all of these things go wrong. There's all of these problems. But they still went for that job, even without the qualifications, even without the experience, just because they wanted the payout. They get in situations where they're really just not even fit for a purpose. They're really not. They can't handle being around someone like myself. Someone who is high energy, highly intelligent, I'm direct, I'm real. I don't like manipulations. I don't like lies. I don't like any fake stuff. I like to be open and honest. I like to be real. I enjoy deep, intelligent discussions. I can stay in high vibe 24 hours a day. It's no problem for me at all. I'm highly motivated, I'm hardworking. And I'm sure many of you are as well. They can't be around someone like us for long periods of time. But we are exactly what they want. The problem is they can't sustain someone like us. So then they feel inferior, they feel like they're not good enough. And that is why they devalue us. They try to cause all of these problems for us. They want to sabotage our lives because they feel like they're not good enough for us. And the last thing they want is to see us walk away and share these amazing qualities with someone else. Because then it's like, oh, that person's good enough, but I wasn't. And then they feel jealous. It triggers them to reflect on their insecurities, on their inadequacy. And that's the last thing they want. They don't want that to happen. So they've got to bring you down. They've got to destroy you in the end to prevent that from happening. So that they don't have to be served this reminder of just how inadequate, irrelevant, and insignificant they really are, which they try to cover up with their arrogance and entitlement, their exaggerated sense of their own abilities and importance. But they can only do that for so long until you start to figure them out. And then even when they ghost you, the last thing they want is to see you moving on. They want you to be left alone and isolated without any help or support. They want you to just stay in the ditch where they left you. Because when you climb back out and you move on, you become successful, you become happy. Maybe you get into a new relationship, you get married, you have children, you start a business, all of these things. This all becomes a reminder to them of where they have failed, of how they were never good enough for you. And although deep down, yes, they may know that that is true, they do not want to be reminded of that. They want to feel like they were on your level, or in fact, they were superior to you, even if it is just in a fantasy. Even if it is just in this delusional world that they have created in their minds that they try to pull you into. Or maybe you have your own fantasies. Maybe you like to read certain books, watch certain movies, there's certain characters that you admire. And then they try to impose themselves on you as though they are that. When it's like, all right, if you are that, let me see you be that. Let me see you actually do the work. But of course, no, they can't, because it's all a lie. It's all manipulation, deception, gaslighting, lies and future faking. And the reality is that they're never going to be anything. But once you separate yourself from them and you move on, you have some time to heal. And it's like, despite everything they made you believe about yourself, you can heal, move on, and become successful. Just as I have done. I've got a YouTube channel now with over 170,000 subscribers, over 40 million views. And my TikTok as well with over 18,000 followers, massive achievements. And I was always told that I'm not good enough, I'm never going to be anything. But guess what? That's by people who knew they weren't good enough for me. And they knew that if I could be my authentic self and live up to my true potential, I would quickly elevate and leave them behind, and then they would be forced to recognize that in fact they're the ones who are not good enough for me. It's really sad, but this is just how it is. This is exactly how it is. And this is why they devalue you, they leave you in such a state, and then they discard you. And then just to make it even worse, they may even start a smear campaign against you, triangulate you with someone else, inflict all of this pain and hardship on you just to bring you down even more and sustain this false reality. Because that's just really how it is. All along they knew that they weren't good enough for you. But they're in denial. That's really how it is. And I know for a lot of you, this may be difficult to accept. It may be a shocking truth. But I'm telling you, after 6 years of research, 5.5 years of making these videos, I can say that this is actually the reality. And if you look back, I've been saying this from the very beginning. I just don't really make a big deal of it anymore because it's nothing new. I mean, I've known this for over 6 years. And in all honesty, I think I knew this from the very beginning. I knew this since I was a child. And you may have noticed on my community page, I posted a poem that I wrote back in 1999 when I was just 10 years old. A poem about how it's not my fault. I was being blamed and punished for things that I didn't even do. And I'm sure many of you were as well when you were a child, by your parents, your family, maybe your teachers or someone else. And yes, believe it or not, it's actually because they feel inadequate. They feel inferior to you. That's actually what it is. It does not matter what they say to you or what they do. It doesn't make a difference. That should not change anything. Of course, they're not going to come out and just tell you, yes, okay, you're better, you're superior, you're more intelligent, or even you're more attractive. You're more successful, you have more potential. What kind of a narcissist is going to come out and tell you that? That is never going to happen. But that is exactly how it is. They're never going to tell you that, but I'm telling you that right now. And as you know, I don't like to sugarcoat things. I am a truth teller. And if the opposite was true, I would just tell you that. And I would tell you to work on yourself, be better. But this is the reality of it. They already know that you are far greater than them. This is why they target you. This is why they bring you down. This is why they talk about you behind your back to as many people as they possibly can. This is why they do all of that. This is why they do every negative thing that they do. Just look at their behaviors, they're negative. And what is a negative behavior? It's where they're trying to take away from you. Because you're already too good, you already have too much in their eyes in comparison to them. And negative behaviors stem from negative emotions. What are negative emotions? They are emotions that are at the lower end of the emotional vibrational frequency chart. Emotions such as pride, fear, guilt, desire, shame, apathy. The types of feelings that they are experiencing when they are being negative towards you. And yet sometimes they can be negative even while displaying a smile. And in that moment, they're still taken from you. Which is how you should know when they move on, they broadcast their new source, they're trying to hurt you, they're trying to punish you, they're still miserable. They're still trying to take away from you. And they're always going to be that way because they feel inadequate. And just being around you, it causes a narcissistic injury every time. Because they know that they can never measure up to you. They feel inferior. And many of you don't even realize just how great you are. You really don't. But that's the thing. I mean, of course, at this point in my journey, maybe I don't fully grasp just how great I am. But it's like, even with this channel, I mean, there's like 326 viewers watching right now. And 170,000 subscribers, 40 million views. Of course, I recognize this must make me quite a valuable person. The message that I share, it is in demand. I'm wanted, I'm needed by so many people around the world. I get that. But at this point, I don't really care that much. It's not something to where it goes to my head as it would for a narcissist, where it's like, oh, I'm such an amazing person. I've got all of this attention, all of these people looking at me, all of these people listening to everything I say. It's really not like that at all. And when I read the comments, I get hundreds of comments every day. It really doesn't change my emotional state that much. My happiness, my confidence, it comes from within. It's not dependent on what other people say or do for me. Even though at some level, yes, I do realize my worth. I'm just not that concerned about it. But just as it was many years ago, where I underestimated myself, I do believe that even right now, I am underestimating myself. I really do believe that. I believe that I am far greater than what I believe right now. I believe that I am capable of so much more, and I don't even know it. But at this point, it's like, even though that I could be more, it's like, do I really want to? Do I really need to? Is it really that important to me? Because for me as an empath, rather than just consuming everything mindlessly for myself, it is more about sharing the experience with other people. I mean, everything that you see in my past videos, that you see on my Instagram, even all of those times where I'd be staying in 5-star hotels, villas, driving luxury cars, it was rarely ever about me. It was more about me thinking all of the victims, the survivors, everything they've been through, they may feel hopeless, helpless, like nothing's ever going to change, and as though nothing could ever change for anyone else who has been through this. So for me, when I showcased the hotels, the cars, on my YouTube and in the Instagram. When I did that, it was more about me seeing it from your perspective and how it would feel for you to see this man who was once a boy and went through so much pain, trauma and abuse, now sitting in the car of his dreams, sitting in a 5-star hotel that he never believed he could afford. And despite it all, now has a smile on his face and can still be happy. And of course, I've seen from the comments that that was the experience that many of you had. It did make a lot of you very happy, and that is why I continue to do it. Because I already knew when I was taking those pictures, making those videos, I knew it was going to make a lot of you smile. Just as it does for me. There's some YouTubers I follow, many of which, they're empaths, they went through a difficult time. There's one, I won't say the name, but he has a very good channel. And I saw not too long ago, he had a new girlfriend that he was really happy with. And he also bought a new Lamborghini. And yeah, that really did make me smile. Made me really happy for him, for his success. And sadly, although yes, there's always the haters, I think it's important to do that, to work hard, and then show your success to your followers. Because yes, they will be happy for you. If they are empathic, if they do appreciate your hard work. But sadly, yes, there's always going to be those out there who will get jealous and they will want to sabotage it. They won't want to see you with anything despite all of the work that you have done. And that's really sad. Because for us, of course, we would never have that experience with them. If we've seen them and they've done the work, it's like, they climbed the mountain. Of course, we would want to see them proud of themselves, satisfied with what they have achieved. But unfortunately, it's not always like that. Because some people do feel inferior, they feel insecure. They have no belief, they feel like they're never going to be able to achieve what we can achieve. So that's just really how it is sometimes. But yeah, all of the 5-star hotels, the cars, the trips around the world. I mean, of course, I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy that. I'm someone who didn't really get to experience too much in his life, probably compared to most people. Didn't have many holidays. Didn't have many nice cars. Vacations, stuff like that when I was younger. So of course I did enjoy that. But for me, the best part was to be able to share it with you. To show you that hard work does pay off. If you put in the work for many hours every day, for many years, you will get something back. And you can be happy, you can enjoy your success. Despite all of the pain, all of the abuse that you may have been through, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And that's really what I wanted to show you. But unfortunately these days we can't just go broadcasting our success, because people will see it and they will hate us for it. They will want to tear us down. They're not going to share our happiness. And I hate to say it, but it's true. You can't just go sharing your happiness and accomplishments with everyone. Share it with people who will be happy for you. Not with people who are only going to seek to destroy it. But yeah, that's why I wanted to share it with you. Because I knew you guys would love it. Just as I love it when I see my favorite YouTubers. It makes me so happy to see that they have moved on. They've got the house that they want. Maybe with a pool. They've got the car of their dreams, a Lamborghini, a new girlfriend. Nothing brings me more joy than that. Even if I haven't got that, even if I'll never have that. Because I know that those people have worked hard. And I know that they have suffered. They've been through a lot in life. So naturally as empaths, of course we want to see that. Anyway, been on here for over an hour. And I've enjoyed sharing this message with you. I know that you all resonate with a lot of my work. And it just feels good to know that I am helping so many people. But you know, I don't earn a lot from putting out this content. Not nearly as much as I used to. So I really do appreciate the donations. And you can donate by leaving a super chat or a super thanks in the comment section. Or also by going to my PayPal, which is paypal.me/Narc Survivor. And you can also show your support by giving this video a thumbs up down below. And sharing your thoughts in the comment section. And also remember to hit the subscribe button and click all notifications so that you will be notified when I upload a new video. And if you would like to book a one-on-one coaching session with me, you can go to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. And you can also follow me on Instagram. It is Narc Survivor YouTube. Okay, I am live from my hotel room here, as you can see. I'm just going to have a shower, maybe do some work and get some rest, wake up early, ready to work on another video in the morning, which I will be uploading soon. I would just like to thank you all, my YouTube family, for joining me on another live video. And I want to let you know that I do appreciate you all. Your support means so much. And as always, I look forward to speaking with you in another live video very soon.